Right, so this is a suggestion via a donation. The name of the video is, what kind of bear is truly the best? Guys, I can tell you right now my own personal opinion. From what I've learned as of recently, I would definitely probably say the polar bear. The polar bear is the best bear, bro. Right? Just in general, it's the most aggressive. It's the best at being a bear. It likes water. Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't want to ever go up against being like that. But I mean, in terms of just absolute strength and overall power, I definitely would probably give it to the polar bear. Second would be the grizzly. Let's check it out.
Skillshare.
Let's see what this thing says.
Question: what kind of bear is best?
Every so often, the metagame of Outside breaks into the mainstream for a bit. Famous examples include the Choose Two puzzle, or the horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses meme.
What is that? I'm going to go ahead and give it oh God, guys. The horse-sized duck is probably going to take it, bro. Just going to be honest. I've never seen this question before, but I can definitely tell you it's weird.
But perhaps the most famous example is the simple question posed by Jim Halpert in Season 3, Episode 21 of The Office, where he asks what kind of bear is best. But before we answer that, let's take a step back and hear how Dwight responds.
Let's
There
go.
are basically two schools of thought.
He doesn't get to finish his sentence before he gets cut off, but he's right. There are two schools of thought.
Really?
Those being the generalist approach and the specialist approach. So which school of thought is better when trying to optimize a bear build? I think the best way to answer that is to outline each approach's most relevant members and rank each of them on a tier list. So without further ado, let's get into it. Perhaps one of the most famous examples of a specialist bear is the panda. I don't think many players would dispute that pandas are easily one of the worst builds in the current meta.
I agree.
What they will dispute is why.
I mean, they fall all of the time.
They're easily one of the worst builds in the current meta. What they will dispute is why. A lot of players think that pandas are garbage because they have an extremely low respawn rate. But pandas actually give birth just as often as other bears. Yes, it's rare, but that hasn't stopped the higher tier bears. What's really holding these bears back is their absolute dependence on bamboo. Of all the specialized bears, pandas are by far the most over-specialized. The combination of stats and abilities they've got have made it so even if they decided to stop being strict herbivores and pursue...
But guys, their HP stat is absolutely wild. But I'm guessing probably most of the other bears are still going to have, a pretty high HP stat regardless. HP and power? I mean, listen, that alone is frightening.
More generalist approach, they can't really do it without a massive respec. They've got the bite force comparable to lions and tigers, but with mobility and stealth as low as theirs, there's no way they'd ever be able to make use of it against another player. Pandas use most of their evolution points on their special ability Pseudo Thumb, a bony-like appendage that allows them to better hold on to bamboo. The rest of their evolution points, I assume, were spent on their ridiculous palette swap. This is the only bear I could even consider being below average. We have to jump all the way up to C tier before we get to the next lowest bear.
Let's go.
Next on the tier list,
that's a little pitiful, bro.
we have the sloth bear and the sun bear. These bears use another specialist type build, this time focusing on insects. Now, sloth bears and sun bears are miles ahead of the panda in viability. Insects, especially beehives, are a great source of XP, assuming you can tank the damage from the stings. Not only that, but unlike bamboo, insects are pretty much everywhere, so habitat loss due to a human builder player doesn't pose as big a problem to them as it does for pandas. What keeps them down is that although they're great at tearing into well-fortified ant and bee bases, they're actually not very good at defending themselves. They have losing matchups against every other key player in their region, including pythons, leopards, dholes, and tigers. And for that, I have to place them in C tier.
I mean, shouldn't they instantly be put into F tier? I mean, I get all the other things that you said. We hear, right? But if they are just getting consistently demolished and they're considered bears, are they really bears, bro? I don't know.
The highest ranking specialist type bear on our list is the polar bear. The polar bear is one of the biggest land predators in the entire game, but despite their ridiculously high power stat, they have pretty bad matchups against the other popular Arctic classes. I've actually done an entire video on the Arctic meta, which you can watch here, but the long and short of it is that their immense strength doesn't really come in handy that much, since their best strategy to score limbs on seals is to catch them off guard when they come up to recharge their stamina gauge. They don't have the mobility to chase seals down in the water, nor do they have the strength to defeat walruses on land. So in my...
I mean, listen, how he's putting it,
opinion, there's far too much luck involved in the polar bear gameplay to rate them any higher than B tier. So that's all of the specialist bears. Now we're on to the generalist bears. Generalist builds, if done right, will pretty much always outclass their specialized counterparts, since they're much more prepared to cope with the rapid shifts of the meta, like, for example, if human players need materials to build their forts, or if the ice starts to melt. In addition, these next builds differ from the others because they've got the bear's signature move, Hibernate. Hibernation is key to the success of the bear players, because it allows them to completely skip the time of year that they're least suited to. Now, this does incur some difficulty on the player, since if they fail to collect enough loot to get them through the winter, hibernation will actually drain their HP and possibly even lead to a game over.
Right.
But if the bear's abilities are used correctly, this shouldn't be too big an issue. The first of the generalist bears on our list is the brown bear. Brown bears have one of the highest power stats in the game, with their sheer force being outclassed only by bull, cattle, and elephant builds. They've also got fairly high mobility, although it can't quite match that of the wolves or elk that they share a server with. But both of these stats...
Okay, yeah. Based off the stats, it's definitely a better build, bro. Absolutely. I can see that, right? The fact that it's not like in the Arctic and not like in the water consistently, I mean, yeah, mobility is going to be raised, absolutely. I don't see how the stealth is playing part in this. I mean, it seems like a pretty stealthy bear compared to the polar bear. I'm just kind of obsessed with the polar bear, guys. Maybe I should be obsessed with the grizzly, maybe.
Can't quite match that of the wolves or elk that they share a server with. But both of these stats are put to good use because of the animal's high intelligence, one of the highest among solitary builds.
Okay.
This lets bears use their strength to successfully raid the treasure chests that human settlements control. Now, unlike its more specialized counterparts, it doesn't have the same venom resistances that would allow the sun bear and sloth bear to easily take out you social insect players.
Oh, so
it's certainly not invincible by any stretch.
And it's crazy because, I mean, if they're getting stung by bees consistently because of the fur, right, they're going to feel the sting, but the bee's not going to actually, like, rip its abdomen out. So, yeah, that's absolutely terrible, bro. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you like honey. You probably should not like honey if consistently you're getting stung by bees, like, back to back. Imagine. You know, luckily us, as humans, we get stung. Unfortunately, the bee loses its existence. But, all right.
But it can make up for these inconsistencies by doing what it does best. Griefing salmon mains. The salmon questline's final objective is to return to their spawn point. And unfortunately, this exploit is pretty common knowledge among the bear subreddits and whatnot. Brown bears have almost as good a matchup against fish as ospreys do. It's really unfair, honestly. There are a few varieties of brown bear, of which the grizzly is actually the weakest, sitting at the high end of A tier. The strongest variety of brown bear, the Kodiak bear, can just barely sneak its way into S tier, along with the last bear on our list.
Okay, guys, the Kodiak bear. Hopefully he explains that, because I've never heard of this in my life, but I should probably be furious.
The black bear. Black bears are true champions of adaptability. When the Anthropocene patch dropped, every other North American bear actually quit the server, including one of the Ice Age meta's top tiers, the cave bear. Cave bears and the Florida spectacled bear were both specialists that were unable to adapt to the new meta, but the black bear player base has flourished. This is thanks to having slightly scaled back versions of all the brown bear's abilities, plus extremely high arboreal mobility. This allows them to get access to valuable loot sources such as tree nuts, beehives, and birds' nests. So yeah, Jim is kinda right when he says the classic line,
false, black bear.
Skills are essential for any effective character, but instead of spending millions of years saving up the evolution points necessary to get them, you can unlock skills right now by using Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with over 20,000 classes.
Guys, alright, so overall, I definitely wish you would have explained a little bit about whatever that Kodiak bear is, right? Like, what chance does it have if it ever has to go against the black bear? I mean, maybe I just shouldn't just look at strength as being the ending of everything, because there are a lot of things that are super strong, but not very intelligent. There are a lot of humans like this also. No offense, obviously, right? But, yeah, like, so maybe I shouldn't just look at, okay, the grizzly is super strong, but unfortunately it doesn't really have any, like, they're not, like, you should not maim these animals in the game, guys. You shouldn't. Not specifically in their environment, right? Because you'll never actually have a chance to show your strength off in any meaningful way. If you can't take down a walrus and you can't chase it in the water, then what exactly are you doing, sir? Right? Maybe you shouldn't maim that. He's right. Now, the Kodiak bear, I need to know what that is, so I know fully if that's even comparable to what the black bear is, right? I never really thought about the black bear as being anything as I don't know. It was a bear. I don't mess with any bears, bro. Personally, but it didn't really help me, unfortunately, because I'm even more confused now, trying to figure out exactly why the black bear is S tier and not the polar bear, because I mean. The stats are definitely more even on a black bear, but for me personally, in my head, before we started this, I was like, listen, the polar bear is going to be the best of the bears because it's the best of the bears. It's the strongest. Right? Look, I mean, imagine any of these bears going up against any of these bears. I think, personally, the polar bear is going to be the one that comes out on top consistently. But I guess it's not all about that. I mean, you're not fighting all day long. You have to live also. So I guess by the definition, bear mains that are playing as bear mains, right, may be smarter, Chris. They figured out the game. They understand that it's easier to have level stats more so than one gigantic thing. This isn't Fallout 3, right? Even though, in Fallout 3, I prefer my main to have absolutely ridiculous intelligence and everything else. I don't know, I can get by, bro. Right? I can just get by, eventually level up my stats a little bit more, potentially. But unfortunately, you cannot do this in real life, right? This game of life is an interesting one, isn't it? But all right, listen, let me know in the comments which bear for you personally was the best bear before this tier list just basically ruined it for you. It ruined it for me. Absolutely ruined it for me personally. But all right, listen. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Let me know if I should be checking out any more of these. Specifically, which one? Let me know in the comments, guys. And I will. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.